Hi everyone. Salt or sodium intake in our daily life. There are many myths, confusions, conflicts, usage of salts in food. How much salt can we take in a day? If you take more salt, very harmful to your health. If you take a less salt, also very harmful to health. The latest research says the same thing. We have to take the required amount of salt to perform the vital activities of our organs. In this video, I will explain you what is salt and sodium. Either both are same or is there any differentiation? And next one is what are the benefits of taking moderate salt consumption in our daily life? And what are the harmful effects of more salt consumption in our life? What is hyponatremia and what is hypernatremia? And the tips to minimize or to moderate the consumption of salts and food. Let us start the video. Sodium, interchangeably frequently using words, but the meaning is not same. Salt is a sodium chloride. It is a crystalline compound, whereas sodium is a mineral and element which is present in salt. In edible salt, the sodium, 40% of the edible salt contains sodium and 60% chloride. Edible salt is called sodium chloride, 40% of sodium and 60% of chloride. As per the WHO guidelines, what it says, per day intake should not exceed 2000 mg of sodium, 2000 milligrams of sodium. It means 1 teaspoon of salt contains more than required amount of sodium in our day life. 1 teaspoon, tablespoon is different. Teaspoon contains 5 grams of salt. So in that 5 grams of salt, we can get about 2000 milligrams of sodium, the day requirements are 2 grams of sodium. As per the nutritional values and American heart associations, 2300 mg of sodium per day, it should not exceed. Sodium is used as an ingredient and it acts as a preservative. Many foods, sodium is used as ingredients. For curing meat, for baking, and to retain the moisture, to retain the flavor bearing compounds, and to retain the taste. Also, sodium is extensively used in all food making industries. So we must be very cautious when we are taking any processed food. All the processed food contains the sodium. Sodium is in many forms like sodium carbonate, sodium bicarbonate, sodium benzoate, sodium nitrate, monosodium glutamate. Have you heard about monosodium glutamate? Unless the FSSAI revealed this thing, monosodium glutamate, which is found higher levels in Maggi noodles. So the country of India also banned for a certain period of time due to the higher levels of MSG. Now the MSG is completely banned. Hyponatremia and hypernatremia. Hyponatremia, low sodium levels in blood causes hyponatremia. If you are reducing or minimizing the sodium levels or intake of more water, which leads to the low sodium levels in the bloodstream, which causes hyponatremia. So hypernatremia, the symptoms are like nausea, headache and fatigue. These are the major symptoms of hyponatremia. What is hypernatremia? Hypernatremia means your bloodstream contains higher amounts of sodium, which leads to the hypernatremia. Because of higher amounts of sodium, you feel restlessness and you feel fatigue, you feel thirsty. Said, as per the scientific study, less salt is harmful and more salt is harmful to our body. In between, the required amount, moderate amount of salt is required in our daily activities. What are the benefits if you take the required amount of salts? Means 1 teaspoon of salt is enough to perform our day activity. The benefits of the required amounts of sodium or salt intake. The first one is, if you will take the moderate amount of sodium, our fluids, the body will maintain the fluid balance properly. The moderate amount of sodium optimizes the cardiovascular functions. The heart will function, the bloodstream also will do the well. Then the third one is, the nerve impulses will work properly if we take moderate amount of sodium. And the fourth one is, the salt contains sodium chloride. The chloride ions are required for the digestive system to form the hydrochloric acid. So the chloride ions will help us to digest the proteins and to kill the bacteria which are taking along with the food. The food contains many bacteria. So this is also the advantage. And lastly, it will balance the mood. If you are taking very low amount of sodium, meager amount of sodium, your mood also will change. So the required amount of sodium is important to maintain your mood. These are the 5 benefits. If you take more amount of sodium in our daily life, in our diet, what will happen? If the bloodstream contains more sodium, and it will attract, the sodium will act as a puller, magnet to attract the more fluid inside the bloodstream. Once the sodium will attract, once the sodium which is in the blood, which will attract the more fluid into the blood, then the fluids, water increases in the blood level, bloodstream. Automatically the blood pressure will increase. Heart will function. Heart needs lot of pressure to function. So such a pressure heart will maintain. Automatically our arteries will get damaged and the organs like brain also will affect, and organs like heart stroke will come, heart failure will come, and kidneys also will affect, and finally the eyes also, the blindness also will come. If you take the salts in the form of sodium more than 2000 mg per day, these are all the adverse effects, these are all the harmful effects. Unfortunately, we could not know the taste of the salts whenever people are eating the processed foods or restaurant foods. The restaurant foods are the processed foods which contains higher amount of sodium. We cannot judge based on the taste which contains more salt or not, because the tasty salts also available, added salts are also available. So because I am a big fan of Maggi noodles so this is a Maggi noodles packet. So we must be very conscious, we must know what we are eating. So this contains higher amount of sodium. In this nutritional fact labels, they have clearly mentioned this is called 1 serving size. This is 72 grams of ready-made instant Maggi noodles. This 72 grams contains 800 milligrams of sodium. If we will take 2 servings like this, then the entire day we should not take any sodium or salty foods. We people not only eat the Maggi noodles, along with that we will apply some tomato ketchup. This tomato ketchup, which contains 1026 milligrams of sodium. 100 grams of tomato ketchup contains 1026 milligrams of sodium. Friends, you calculate your daily value as per nutritional fact labels. As per nutritional fact labels, the daily value should not exceed 2000 milligrams per day at any cost. Or if you take one serving this with tomato sauce, your day requirement, daily value will fulfill. 1 tablespoon approximately contains 9 grams to 13-14 grams. So we have to calculate when we are adding the tomato sauce into the noodles. So we have to calculate the one serving of the noodles contains 800 milligrams of sodium, and the tomato ketchup 9 grams or 10 grams 1 tablespoon. 10 grams means which contains how much sodium. We have to calculate like that, and we have to monitor those things for reducing the sodium consumption in our daily value. Whenever we are taking any food, snacks or any processed food, we have to avoid the processed food. In some circumstances, if we wanted to take the processed food, we must read the nutrition fact labels. The second tip is prepare your own food. Prepare your own food and avoid eating the food in restaurants, or avoid eating the food in processed or preserved foods. The third one is add flavor without adding sodium. For example, without adding sodium, you can add some seasonings or seasoning blends, you can add some herbs, you can add some spices also, you can add. Reduce your portion size. For example, the Maggi noodles, no? So we have to reduce the portion size, depends upon the sodium content. And make lower sodium choices at restaurants. Whenever you are going to the restaurants, make your choices for taking lower sodium content in the food.